a better Nigeria? Is it a myth or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Reju. Hi, my name is Onari, and this is Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. We'd like to start up today's episode by acknowledging a mail we got. Adams, we got a mail from Moses.
Yes, Moses. Hello, listeners. So we got a mail from Moses, and he was asking if he can, be a part of any program that Dr. Reju is undertaking, a mentoring program, that is.
For active youths.
For active youths in politics. Yeah. And he was also suggesting that if there is no program like that, that such things can be started. So we really want to appreciate Moses.
We appreciate Moses, and we'll get back to Moses on that. You left your email address and we'll reply to you. Obi, give it a go. What?
Yeah, thanks Mo a lot for that mail.
Mo.
Yeah. And but this really raised a critical issue, and we talked about it a little last week. But I need to ask, okay? How critical is mentoring? I mean, one-on-one mentoring now. He actually talked about a training program. I want to believe that they're different. But maybe Dr. Reju will sort of clarify the place that mentoring one-on-one has in developing leaders, developing active citizens, all right, and training program, because I must say, there's been almost nobody who has been consequential in Nigeria that cannot point to who trained him. I mean, one of the big news was that Obasanjo actually told us whose brand of politics he took after. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you should just really delve into that a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you very much, Moses. Again, we really appreciate your making our time to contact us. And maybe I'll say up front that, this is something we also have in mind, to sort of help, like he put it, active youths who really want to go the way of governance, the way of leadership in governance. Even in business, there is no aspect of life. If you are going to really make a mark, if you are going to live a life that will benefit society, if you are going to live a life that will, sort of improve quality of life, be a value added to others, it doesn't just happen. You see, leaders are not born. Maybe we've heard that many times. Leaders are made. It doesn't come by birth. They are made. And in that making process, you need to be able to follow the path that some other people have actually trodden. Okay. You need to come under. Let somebody who had gone ahead take you under his wings. Because one thing that separates just normal leaders from highly impactful leaders is the place of ideology. Something that you stand for, something that serves as a source of inspiration, something that helps you to measure whether you are succeeding or not. And ideologies are formed in that place of mentor-protege relationship. Ideologies are something that maybe some sort of, a burst of inspiration that comes to a particular person. We can look at Awoism, we can look at, let's take it even on broad level, liberal kind of ideology, conservative kind of ideology. Those kind of things they are not necessarily written in one book somewhere, and we have to, be able to bring mentoring into that critical position where we should put it. Because young people today don't understand that. Everybody is just going for number one. I made mention of something last week, that we've lost a lot of, promising public servants. Because what we believe is that you want to make a difference in Nigeria, be a president. Those are microwave leaders. They've not been able to sit under someone who has seen it all, or maybe seen it all, who can actually pour some ideas, pour some experience into you. He will teach you what success is, what failure is. I teach those I've had the opportunity of mentoring that failure is part of life. So if you understand that, there was a movie I was watching there, and somebody asked another lady who was going to politics, say, what will happen if you don't win this election? He said, the country can go to hell and I'll go home. The point is this. I don't have to win.
Yeah.
That's the point. He wasn't saying that the country can go to hell.
Okay.
You know, but that I don't have to win. She understands the place of failure. That only comes by somebody preparing you for that. Is really critical. And mentoring is about relationship. Being able to have access to the life, to the experience, to the pains, to the pleasures, to the setbacks, to the upsets, to the triumph, the trials of someone. And when you bring all that together, what it took the previous guy 10 years, you can get it in 2 or 3. Because they say in leadership circles that if you stand on the shoulder of a tall man, you see further than him. What we've had in Nigeria especially is that the people that we read about in our history, they are still around.
True.
In the 60s, in the 70s, they are still around, jostling for position. So we are like a nation that we are daily committing economic abortion, political abortion, social abortion. There is no atmosphere for fresh, new brains and ideas to find expression. Because those who are supposed to mentor are not willing, and then those who are supposed to be mentored don't see the value. So it's a two-way thing. The young ones must begin to appreciate the place of being groomed, being mentored, learning to serve by serving someone. You can't serve society if you have not honed your skill in serving someone. You know, Moses has really raised a very critical issue here about mentoring. And let me also say straight away that mentoring is not about attending a program. It's not about listening to a seminar. Mentoring is relationship. For those who really understand this in those days, maybe you want to learn tailoring, you will have to go and live with the person.
Proximity.
Proximity is great. You can't have impact, you know, without proximity. You must be able to see the life of this person. And the mentor too must be able to open his life or her life as a book, you know, meant to be read. So those youths out there who are desirous of going into public service, look for someone who can mentor you. Look for someone you've identified something that you appreciate about that person. That's where ideologies are built. And for us in this country, you want to be careful that your ideologies are not nailed down to religion. They are not nailed down to any kind of ethnic consideration. They are not nailed down to some selfish pursuits. It has to be well crafted. Ideologies are as sound as they are selfless. If it's not anchored on the benefit of the generality, it's just somebody having an idea. It's just somebody having an idea. So you have to check, what is this person standing for? It even goes into, because we're talking about citizenship, even when you want to vote someone into, what is this person actually saying? But our politicians over the years, they will play the ethnic card, they will play the, you know, the religious card. It just gives them soft landings. There's really nothing they have in store. Okay. Did I say anything? Did I? Am I helping you guys here?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, there's also this rhetoric of not wanting to be used by someone, which is a valid argument, you may say, and some people have had bad experiences of being used and dumped. You know, or particularly even some of the politicians we're talking about, or some of those who have gone ahead, who want to, they're more interested in preserving a family heritage, more or less, and they're not really interested in training others. Yeah, so
you know, if you are used and dumped, you've gained a valuable experience. You've gained a valuable experience. When you are used and dumped, the pain you feel, if you really have a heart of service, you've really earned your stripes. That's like ranking. Because you don't want anybody. You will not, you might use people and dump them if you have never been used and dumped and feel the pain. Because if you are trying to avoid being used and dumped, you will never get opportunities.
Okay.
You will never get it. You know, because some people use people and dump people not because they want to. You know, I'm not saying that it's good. I'm not saying that people don't. But you see, if you are pursuing a vision, failure, setback, disappointment is part of it. Okay. Right? If they use you and dump you and you know where you're going, you just earn stripes. You have just been elevated in terms of strength, in terms of wisdom. If you don't know pain, how can you help someone who is being pained?
You know, I actually agree with you, because as you were talking, I remembered the story of Mary Kay, who was a sales representative, or, she worked in another company, another cosmetic company, I think.
Okay, the lady who has that beauty profile, okay.
And honestly, she was used and dumped.
That's it.
And she said, no, that's not how to do business.
Yeah.
And that inspired her, right, to start off her own brand and, run it in the way she felt was right, And I mean, we all know what it is today.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And that also will lead me to make this point here. When you are in that school, so to say, when you are in that mentoring process, you also want to begin to sell what you are getting. You also want to begin to look for like minds like you to come and partake, so to say, of what you are feeding on. If you walk alone, you can't make any impact. There's a whole, mantra out there, which I believe is a myth. It doesn't exist, that one man can make a difference. It's not true. If you see a single man making a difference, is representing a whole lot. He has a backing. One man can make a noise, but it can't make a difference. When the real community comes against that man, they will remove him without any effort. But the point is, there's a way you can position yourself so that everywhere you are being attacked or you are being, confronted, or there are people like you. You see, what our politicians have done over the years is this. They've been able to reproduce themselves. That's why we say this kind of ethnic, self-interest based kind of politics has really pervaded the society. That's the mentality of everybody, because that's the narrative. That's what everybody believes politics to be, because they have been able to proliferate that idea. In the same way, there must be a generation also that can also spread this good virus of citizen, people, society-oriented kind of public service. So don't work alone. Ideologies don't work. It's never effective through one person. But that's a big challenge for Nigeria. We always want to be number one. You see somebody, you see his business card, chairman, chief executive, chief professional officer, and financial director. And that kind of a thing. We don't like working in community. Young people who find themselves in politics, as you are being mentored, you are also looking over your shoulders. Who might be watching you? Can you spot potential maybe in a secondary school guy who is a senior prefect in the school? I always tell the story of my friend. He's late now, because we went to the same school all our life. He was senior prefect in secondary school. He was welfare secretary in our A-levels. He was secretary general in our university. He eventually became the majority leader in Ondo State House of Assembly. He passed on not too long, maybe about 2 years ago. So, that's somebody spotted that there's something in this guy. He wants to serve. He has leadership potential. And he didn't get there just because of brute force or whatever. He was mentored. He belonged to the right circle. So we have to understand how to identify a good mentor. For mentors, you need to be able to identify the potential in a budding leader. That's what it takes. So it's something that we need to open that page. Because what we have, this status quo, everybody knows. Even those who are there know that there's something wrong. They know that there's something wrong. And when we get to that point, we know that a new page needs to be opened. Mentoring is critical.
Okay. When people hear leadership, they always go to the top. Seminars that they will have around would groom them how to be leaders, probably aim for the presidency, probably aim for something high. But like you're saying now, leadership, it's a service thing.
Yeah.
How do you remove people's mind from where it is now to make them have a mind to serve and serve for long? Is it possible?
Yeah, leaders lead the way they lead because of the way they are taught. Right? And that still brings us to this issue of mentoring, because mentoring is nothing formal. They asked somebody, he spoke about his mentor. He said, what did you do together? He said, we played tennis. We play tennis. We just talk while playing tennis. It's always very, very informal. And when that person is put on the stage to perform, so to say, what the person has seen, what the person has heard, is what you begin to see play out. So when you see Nigerians, because even from, we have a school that we run, and I always tell the principal, the senior prefect here is the one who arranged the chairs in the class. But what we have is senior prefect is a boss in most schools. But we turn that on its head. This is a chief servant. Now, when he's arranging the chairs in the class, he calls others to come and help him. It's his responsibility to arrange the chairs in the class. That's the work of the senior prefect, to make sure the class is arranged in such a way that is conducive for learning. So while doing that, he calls others to come and help him do that.
Okay.
Right. Because sometimes you have to start from that kind of level. But when the senior prefect sees himself or herself as senior girl or senior prefect in the school, and he sees himself or herself as the next in line to the principal, calls the shots, he sends people on an errand. That's where we build that kind of mentality that leaders are meant to be served. Leaders are meant to serve. And it has to be consciously passed across. And we need to let people see the dignity in service. But you see, you can't tell people, they have to see it. You see, I have to consciously, tell myself, have a servant heart. I remember there was a time we're trying to pack, some things there to the car. And I picked some. And Adams ran to me, leave it, not leave it. I am coming to the car. Right? I can't come empty-handed when there are still stuff here. Right? It's just like that. Because society has not taught us to see dignity in service. Service today is that the one who is under. Right? But the servant is still the greatest. The servant has the most power. The servant determines what happens. So it's something that has to be not just taught verbally, but also modeled. Also modeled. That's where mentoring comes in. You need to see people do it. Right? I remember when Jerry Rollins came in Ghana, the first video clip I saw of him, he was walking on the rail line, using hammer to fix some repairs as president. Now that's uncommon. That's uncommon. When I visited the place in, maybe year 2005, there was a taxi that was dropping people off right in front of his house. His house is just by the road. He doesn't remove anything. This is a former president. He was just a normal guy. But you see, especially in Nigeria, normal is wrong. Simple is wrong. We must have heirs. From church to mosque to bank to everywhere. We must have heirs. We need to have people around. We need to have paraphernalia of office. And you see, we can't mentor that way. Such things create a gulf between mentors and proteges. A protege must be able to access the life of the one mentoring him or her.
Okay. All right. I like that you mentioned, a protege being able to choose a mentor.
Okay.
But, Nigeria, we have a situation where this godfatherism has bedeviled us, where you may choose a mentor, and then the mentor may have an ulterior motive that is really, really not where you want to go to, especially in politics. I mean, so how do we solve, or how do we begin to tackle such challenges of godfatherism, that you're able to serve someone and then you're able to think also independently, not really to end up serving him, even if you get opportunity.
Adams, thank you for the question. There are some things that can't really be said on air. Right? There's a saying that if you have a long spoon, you can eat with the devil. If you know what you want, right, and you know where it is, right, you get it. And this is to tell you something. This is a principle of life. Those who love to manipulate, those who love to use people, they are the easiest to manipulate and use. Right? Now that's for a little room. The details of that will come in a little room. So it's if my mind is to serve selflessly, I can only produce people who will also serve selflessly. If I'm selfish in my leadership, in the way, if I just want people around me for me to use them to achieve my own dreams, I open myself up also to actually achieve a dream that I never planned to. Somebody can easily use me. What the young ones of today need to understand is that the people there right now, it doesn't matter how bad they are the ones that are in front. We will have to interact with them. We will have to engage them. We will have to learn from them, even if it means learning the wrong way from them.
Wow.
Like he just gave the example of Mary Kay, right? He learned how not to do it by working with people who are doing it wrong. There is no way we can set a different standard now. We will have to start from where we are. The politicians that we don't like today, they are the ones that are going to teach us. Because of some of them find themselves doing some things, because of the prevailing circumstances that they find themselves. The political class in Nigeria is a mixed grill, right? You have very good guys there. You have the very bad. You have the ones that are just there, just picking the crumbs, right? But it's a mixed grill. What we need to do is for the good ones among them who mean well, to now begin to raise people of their like. Let's populate the good, right? We have said it over and over in this country. Politics is dirty because dirty people do it. But when clean people get there, begin to populate the community of the clean. Raise people such as you. You see, I said something last week. Older politicians in Nigeria go as far as universities to go and raise disciples, so to say. Today's politicians are not like that, right? But we need to let them know, hey, there's a whole field here, right? We're interested. Because when I was in the university, even campus politics was a road on the back of ideology. You have to be able to articulate what exactly you want to do. Not the campaigns we have today. It's just a carnival. It's just people just dance and dance and dance, abuse the other party, abuses, and today is election day and everybody goes there. It's so predictive. That has to change, because I said something also. In building the ideology, it doesn't just come by reading books. Reading books is okay, but you need to be able to read humans. And we must know going forward, the new breed, it must not be anchored on religion. It must not be anchored on ethnic considerations. Because if we continue that way, right, this nation doesn't have hope. Right? This nation doesn't have hope. We will fragment a million ways. And who suffers? The guys who've milked this country, they will just take the next flight and go. It is you, the ordinary citizen, there, because you suffer the most because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So it is time for citizens to pick on responsibility, right? Our ethnic differences, religious differences can be harnessed to be strength, right? But honestly, like I said, earlier on this program, the issue of faith is personal. Don't bring it to public square, for God's sake. Pray in your home, be your Yoruba somewhere. Once you come into public square, but you see, that's difficult, but it's not impossible. There must be a new set of people. I mean, look at us in this room. This is Onari. Onari is from way somewhere there, south. This is Obi Brown. By the name Obi, you know where he comes from. I'm trying to figure out where I come from. Adams is just, this is the way we are. But we can talk together like this. Why can't that happen on a bigger scale? Because we don't harness little kind of, look at National Youth Service Corps. What a brilliant idea, but where it is today? Where are those things today? It's just a name. People serve where they want to serve. People choose unity schools that is closer to their house. It's not uniting anything. But citizens today, those who want this nation together, those who are willing to put religious, ethnic considerations in the background, are more. Majority of those who play the religious card, they don't practice the religion the way it ought to be practiced.
Yeah.
They just use it to actually meet their political ends. They don't really love their ethnic group that much. That's it. We know that. But those who really mean well, why don't we begin to raise our voices? The missing piece in Nigeria is the silence of the citizens is deafening.
This is Answers with Dr. Reju, and we're going to continue on our discussion. Obi, please take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, there was an experience I had. I went on Facebook and a friend of mine made a post. What he did was that he did a screen capture of another friend of his that was making a political statement and insulted a certain ethnic group in Nigeria. So he took the screen capture of that insult, brought it to Facebook, and then now lambasted him for doing that. All right? There were about 23 to 30 comments. Lambasting this guy. And then by today, the guy made an apology.
That's right.
He made an apology.
Yeah.
And I felt it was very, a heartfelt apology, because he said, he had good friends from this ethnic group and that. Maybe he was just taken over by, the emotion at that time.
Yeah.
And I felt that was right, that in our own small way, when you hear somebody, close to you make some ethnic remarks,
kill it there.
Kill it right
yeah.
there.
Kill it there.
Kill it right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because, you see, we basically echo what these guys have actually planted in the atmosphere over the years. We grew up with it. But we need to look around ourselves. Where has this taken us?
Absolutely.
Those who teach me to hold fast to my ethnic kind of sentiments, it hasn't benefited me, right? If the Igbos shut down their shops in Jos, you know where we'll be. If the Hausas decide today that they won't come out tomorrow, we'll know where we'll be. So it's like these things are there, they are reality, but a few just use it. And that's it. Because the more who believe this thing, they are tools. We are laid back. My best friend in the media is a guy called Sulaiman Alede that works with channels. He's a Muslim. We talk, we chat, we agree on almost everything about life. We agree on almost everything. But we have different faith. I respect his space. I've told him that anytime you celebrate Salah, please send my meat. Yeah. So these things are, it's just, we just need to speak up. Those of us who really live together, believe in all this, and then those who are really up there, they need to begin now to, to pass this down. If anybody really loves this country today, you should be looking at 30 years down the line.
Thank you for another thought-provoking episode of Answers with Dr. Reju. Thank you, Dr. Reju.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adams. Thank you, Obi. And to the listeners, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Join us again on Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified.